that plane flying overhead. And took her money for the rent, tried to drag her down in the big black store, in the big black store, in the big black store, in the big black
We're standing here in King's Cross in central London. We thought this would be a good place to start our tour. This is where the Davies family lived before Ray and Dave were born, and they decided in 1939 it would be a good idea to leave central London.
And from there they actually moved up to East Finchley, stayed there for a short period of time, and finally settled down in Muswell Hill.
that same old witchcraft when your eyes meet mine.
So we are here in East Finchley, North London. This area is known for a couple things, one of which is that Margaret Thatcher actually lived in this area. Dave Davies wrote a tune called Dear Margaret to attest to that fact. Well, in this area, in the mid-1939 time frame, they moved from King's Cross over to East Finchley. We're here a very short period of time, and by the end of 1939 had moved to Muswell Hill, which is about 1.5 miles up the road.
You're going to find Muswell Hill, and Muswell Hill is now a very well gentrified area. It's an upscale neighborhood, but it's very easy to get to. I believe it's the Blue Line, goes right out there from central London. In 20 minutes you could be there. Worth walking around. The Davies home is still there. The Clissold Arms is still there. It's certainly worth a lunch.
Okay, here we are getting close to number 6 Fortis Green Road. This is Ray and Dave's childhood home with the famous front living room where You Really Got Me and other Kinks songs were written. We're a little bit nervous because from what we understand, the present owners don't really like people snooping in on their house. So, you know, we don't want to intrude on anybody. There's the Clissold Arms.
We thought if we could annoy all of the neighbors with the green amp, think of what we could do with a 4-piece band.
Gotta wait for the traffic. The Clissold Arms. This was the Davies family local pub. And right across the street should be number 6 Denmark Terrace.
And then the cops knocked at the door with letters.
The Davies family, even though it looks like a very small place, would have a lot of family parties there. Everyone would get to do their special little party song, including Ray and Dave's father, Fred. The makings of the Kinks started here, with Dave punching holes in the little green amp, making the distorted noise that would become the famous intro for You Really Got Me. The front living room was also the location where many of their other early hits originated.
In the reflection of number 6, Denmark Terrace, you can see the sign for the Clissold Arms.
Anyway, Alfred and I and a friend of Alfred's were hanging out at Denmark Terrace just as the lady who lived there at the time came home. And so we told her we were Kinks fans, and she let us come in and gave us a tour of the house. So we went to the front room where Dave was born and where You Really Got Me and a lot of great hits were born too.
Show the sweet shop, which was in Denmark Terrace, where Jonah Jones, their first roadie, came from, where they used to buy their sweets.
Everybody needs to read and write.
Behind me is St. James Church of England Primary School. This is a school that Ray and Dave both attended when they were small. Now it's a little confusing because when they went it was actually at a different location, but it's the same institution moved to this spot since Ray and Dave went.
Education saved the day. Headmaster, this is my confession. This time you won't be overjoyed.
We're now at Fortismere School in Muswell Hill. This was a secondary school that Ray and Dave went to when it was known as William Grimshaw Secondary School. This was the school that Dave was expelled from after his disgraceful goings-on with one of his girlfriends, and was immortalized on the Schoolboys in Disgrace album, and also where Ray met Pete Quaife, future bass player for the Kinks. The cricket field at Fortismere School, where Ray and Dave likely played as school kids.
Now those naughty little girls are gonna put me to shame. The art school babe quotes William Blake as she rolls a joint.
We are here at 77 Crouch Inn Hill Road, site of what is now TUC College, but was previously
Hornsey Art College, where Ray attended art school.
Art school chaps with creative.
And it meant a lot to Ray when he sings about his art school babe in the Storyteller show. He's talking about someone that he probably met at this school. And I'm sure this school had a lot to do with Ray's developing sense of his artistic talents and direction. So this was a real starting point for Ray finding out who he was as an artist, and very significant in his development. Ray Davies would have walked up these very steps. The Muswell Hill City Center. It is more gentrified and upscale than when Ray and Dave were growing up, and it's quite a bustling place, but it is still rich with Kinks history. Ray claims to have sung in the choir at this church, St. James Church. The coffee grinder at the W. Martin Coffee Shop, where Mrs. Davies may have come and bought coffee.
Just when I think you're out of my head, I hear the song that you sang. I see a book that you read, and you're in every bar, you're in every cafe, you're driving every car. I see you every day, but you're not really there, 'cause you belong to yesterday.
The Les Aldrich Music Shop, where Dave's mom, Annie, bought Dave his first guitar, a Harmony Meteor electric model. Behind me is the Clissold Arms, the Davies family pub, literally right across the street from their former house at number 6. And it has very curious to see the Kinks kind of shrine, or the Kinks wall there, with some memorabilia and Kinks artifacts.
Mum would shout and scream when Dad would come home drunk. When she'd asked him where he'd been, he said up the Clissold Arms, chatting up some Aussie, but he didn't mean no harm. Sunday morning drives just to get away, Ramsgate or Southend, it would always be a laugh. Paddling by the sea, trousers rolled up to the knees. Walking by the sea, full of dreams, eating ice Oh, from the screen, the memories of days when I was young. Oh, it could only be a memory, a time that now has gone. Here, there's Uncle Frank telling stories from the war. Frightened all the kids, yet we'd heard it all before. When the bombs were dropping down, there were parties underground. Aunt Lil's at the gin while Mum's singing songs from the 40s when Variety Max Miller was going strong. All the characters are gone, oh what a blatant shame.
Here we are inside the Clissold Arms. This is where Ray and Dave played their first show together. Though we found out that actually they didn't play here very often. They tended to play across the street at the Alexandria Club. This was the pub for the older people, and the younger folks went across the street. But seeing the memorabilia on the wall and whatnot, and knowing that it was right across the street from the house they grew up in, it's really quite thrilling to be here and see a part of the Davies family history and to see them represented finally in Muswell Hill. We've been traveling all over the town today and we haven't seen any mention of them, not even the slightest reference to the band. So it's nice to come in here and kind of finally feel like we are in Kinks country by the memorabilia on the wall.
Well, as Lloyd just said, we're here in the Clissold Arms and been having a wonderful time chatting with some of the people here. Behind me, there are three older gentlemen that actually knew Ray's dad. One of them's come over and chatted with us a little bit, kind of confirming the story that Lloyd mentioned regarding the boys used to drink across the street, but maybe came over here to play. But this is not where they were. This is the pub for the older folks.
There's a plaque on the wall too. It says Muswell Hillbillies, and there's a guitar on it. And the guitar looks like a Gibson SG. And looking at the photos, I don't think that it's an actual Gibson SG. I think it's a knockoff. And particularly peculiar is that I don't think they ever played that guitar.
The actual guitar in there, some people say is not one of the true guitars. It's a fake. They pick out of the garbage. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the first ever guitars of Ray.
The Alexandra Pub. It's been drastically remodeled since Ray and Dave would come here to drink and play, but it was the site of some of their earliest performances.
And then when you go through, like where I stayed in North London, the houses really do all look the same, don't they? Now that you've found your paradise, this is your kingdom to command. You can go outside, polish your car, or sit by the fire in the Shangri-La.
Okay, we are here on Ringwood Avenue in Muswell Hill. On this street, John Stark's family lived. John was the original drummer of the Ray Davies Quartet. In fact, it was at his house that the Ray and Dave and him would practice playing music. When John graduated from high school, he chose to leave the band to pursue other interests.
Here we are at 59 Steeds Road, also in Muswell Hill, the former home of Pete Quaife, bass player for the Kinks. Okay, we're still in Muswell Hill. We're looking for 30A Conniff Gardens, which is a house that Mick Avery and Dave Davies lived in for a while during the early heyday of the Kinks. They shared the flat together. Here's 34. Here it is here with a little glass patio area, number 30. Conniff Gardens is the street. Mick Avery and Dave Davies lived here during the early days of the Kinks. Ironic considering the fights and problems that the two of them had, that they would share a room together or share a flat together.
For Tether Down, this is where Ray and Raza first lived. Also in the Muswell Hill area, it's great that the Davies brothers each stayed in the basic area.
Midhurst Avenue, Ray and Raza's second home in the late 60s, was on this street.
Quite possibly the most important place next to number 6 Denmark Terrace. I'm in front of 87 Fortis Green Road. It is here that Ray and Raza lived during the formidable period of Ray's songwriting. Many of his greatest hits were penned here, and as with other elements of Ray's dynamics, he stayed in the area. This is only just a few blocks down from number 6.
Where Ray used to live, Pete Quaife had a flat in Linton Grange, so we're going to have a look at that.
Pete lived here on the second floor. What year was it?
I think it was 1967, 1968.
1967, 68. Pete Quaife lived here. We are here in Highgate, North London, on Yeatman Road, which is where Ray and Dave's sister Rosie and her husband Arthur lived.
And Ray also spent some time when he was a boy living with Arthur and Rosie and his cousin Terry, who he was actually much closer to than his younger brother Dave at that time. Rosie went on to be the inspiration for the song "Rosie, Won't You Please Come Home," and Arthur was at least partly the inspiration for the Arthur or the Decline and Fall of the British Empire album. This building was formerly the hospital where Louisa, Ray's first daughter, was born.
Have another drink, it'll make it feel better.
The John Baird Pub, another Ray and Dave watering hole. Rumor has it, Pete Quaife cracked his head open in the restroom of the Muswell Hill movie theater.
I know the telephone box in the Broadway. You know the one where, yeah. And it's so I was looking at the video and I thought, I know that place. It's Muswell Hill.
There's water all around. There's woodworm in the attic, and the ceiling just fell down. I'm in a state of confusion. I'm in a state of confusion. Dishes are still in the kitchen sink. The tumble dry in the bin racks.
There was a lot to see here in Muswell Hill, but it's time now to head down into London town. We're at the Lyceum Theatre in Covent Garden. This was the site of one of the Kinks' first big shows, a New Year's Eve show in 1963, soon after they got their recording contract with Pye. Also of particular note to Ray and Dave, on Ray's 13th birthday, his sister Renee got him his first guitar and showed him his first guitar chords. Later that night, she went dancing right here when it was known as the Lyceum Ballroom. She died on the dance floor that night. She had a hole in her heart since birth and was never well, but she died doing the thing that she loved, dancing. Dave's first job was in this music store, then known as Selmer's Music Shop, near Leicester Square.
Okay, what football team does Ray support?
Sorry?
What football team do you support? Tracy.
Arsenal.
It's the right answer.
Highbury stayed open throughout the war years and despite air raid damage remained the focal point for sport in the capital. When club physio Bertie Mee was promoted to the manager's post in 1966, the Gunners had gone 13 years without a major trophy.
Here we are at the Arsenal Museum, where the Davies brothers were fervent fans and would yell often, "Go Gunners!"
Still highway, dangerous indeed! Oh no! Oh, that's the goal! Steep highway, phenomenal! Backward of which head Kelly is wide in now, playing much more as a striker in the centre right. And it's there! George Graham! It's George Graham who blocked the touch and makes it 1-1!
From November 26th, there's only 163 days left until Highbury Stadium gets torn down, turned into flats, and they're going to move it down the road to a new facility.